So yes, if you have offers or listings, I would love it to, if you guys put in Concierge.
Would you email us or put it into the group chat? Because when we were on our team meeting this week, you weren't on and they were asking about it. And then Brett goes, no, she's somewhere else now. And then we couldn't remember where you were.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah,
Perfect.
we just need to like see it. And then maybe Dalen will add it in the template.
Okay, great.
Yeah, okay. So we're a little blinky. We have a little bit of technical difficulties. And then what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna move.
Want to come with me?
Oh, shit, don't move.
Okay.
Oh, don't move. God. We pay for this.
Hey, Kelly.
Hi, honey.
How are you?
I'm good, honey.
Good to see you too.
Jen, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
So
Do you
I
hear
want to
me?
Introduce Jen. Jen and I go back to 2016. We met at Windermere. She is a licensed agent. She was doing all the marketing for Windermere down in Palm Springs before she came up to San Diego. And then her and I teamed up together. And so she's extremely knowledgeable in the real estate genre because she is a licensed agent. So she understands the needs of agents in regards to marketing. And she knows my personality so well. And then I introduced her to Kelly and everybody over at Kelly's escrow team. And so she is an independent contractor now. And she has been great at like promoting me when I was a rep for SD County Escrow and when she was a rep for Centennial.
She still does.
She still does
Or
with
Generations.
Generations now. So we really wanted to bring Jen on and then I introduced her to Tristan. She is an English lit major, so she is phenomenal with text, bios, descriptions. She has that dramatic flair for writing. She's brilliant at it. She's also wonderful with creating websites as well. And then she'll tell, she'll dive into more. Obviously she's got a whole presentation for us. But I just wanted to introduce you to my beautiful friend, Jen.
Welcome, Jen.
Thank you, girls.
Thank
Thanks
you
so
for
much.
being here. God, this is not very loud.
I know.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm pretty loud on my own, so hopefully my voice.
Be
will
really
carry.
loud.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Right. So like Glennis was saying, I'm Jennifer Joliff and I'm the owner of J-Marked, which was a company that I started back once I started having my kids. My daughter's 6 now, so that's how long I've been doing marketing on my own. But I started my journey into marketing kind of back when I got into real estate, which was back in, God, I don't even know what year it was. I was 17 when I started working in real estate. My mother was an agent in Staten Island, and she kept telling me, Jen, you got to learn this stuff. Come sit with me. And at 17, nobody wants to learn whatever their mom's teaching them. So I'm like, no, I don't care. I don't like real estate. I don't want to get into it. And lo and behold, real estate has really become kind of my bread and butter and has led me into my marketing career. Just to kind of piggyback on what Glennis was telling you guys, I started working in real estate.
I think you need to. Hold on. I gotta mute. Hang on.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Oh, that's better.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, I was starting to get echoey and that's totally going to mess me up. Anyway, so I got my California real estate license shortly after I moved to California. I lived in the desert for a few years, got my license out there, and I worked with a team called the Bannister Group. And basically what I did was whatever they needed me to do. I was their on-site sales manager at Indian Ridge Country Club in the desert. And then the Bannister Group decided they wanted to branch out beyond the walls of Indian Ridge. So we ended up joining Windermere Homes and Estates when they were coming out to the desert for the first time. And I met Brian and Rich and we hit it off and I got recruited and eventually ended up moving to San Diego where I met Glennis and so many of the lovely ladies that are already in that room right now. And just kind of dove into marketing. And now I kind of help with all aspects of marketing from branding, logos, website design, social media, online visibility, reviews, client contacts, email programs. I mean, you name it. I've pretty much handled all kinds of aspects of real estate marketing from start to finish, including being involved in the sales and rental aspect myself. So I definitely have a nice amount of well-rounded experience in the industry itself. which helps me a lot when it comes to my marketing business. So I put a little presentation together because I figured you guys don't want to just look at me speaking the whole time. That's very boring. So I put a little presentation together so that we could all kind of follow along. I'm going to share my screen with you guys now, and we'll kind of just dive in. And if you guys want to ask any questions, feel free to stop me and ask away. Hang on, I just have to change my settings. There we go. Hang on 1 second. Oh no, okay. Zoom may not be able to record the contents of your later. Okay. Sorry, I just had to change my settings apparently. Can you guys see my screen?
No, not yet.
Not yet?
Nope.
Somebody else, hold on, where's my phone?
Here.
Oh, there we go.
I'll turn that
Can you see
off.
me? Can you see it now?
Yeah, now we can. Yeah, now
Oh,
we can.
perfect. Okay. No, I can't. Okay. So I just made this little kind of slideshow on Canva, which is where I work most of the time because my computer was getting so bogged down with files, especially back when I worked with Greatest Management and I was working on all their marketing materials. There was just so much. So my portfolio alone is just very robust. I have 13 clients I work with right now, one of which is my mother, which is very difficult. Anybody who works with the family knows how difficult it can be. I kind of resisted working with my mom for the longest time because she knows very, very little about the computer and even just how to attach something like a file or a photo. So
Is she a real estate agent?
challenges, but it's enlightening for me because it makes me feel more valuable, especially to the older generations who weren't in the computer era that we're kind of born into. And you know, it doesn't always come natural to everyone, but everybody can kind of find their place on the internet, even if it's just covering your basics. So for starters, this is kind of my website, an introduction to myself. If you guys ever want to get more information about me or anything I do, my website is jmarked.com, just like you see it on the screen. And you'll find this as the homepage. Once you hit go, it'll take you into all of the different marketing options that I have and packages that I've created to try to simplify what I do, because I've kind of done it all. So I figured creating packages seemed to be the best fit. Agents kind of need the same sort of help when it comes to marketing, but for starters, we're going to talk about branding today. Branding is kind of like ground zero for marketing. And when we think of branding, a lot of different things actually go into branding. And when you hear it, you know, it's almost like this vague term, but when all said and done, branding is your identity. And I went online and I found a few basic descriptions of branding. So what is branding? To marketing professionals, a brand is a product or a business that has a distinct identity in the perception of consumers. The brand is created through elements of design, packaging, and advertising that as a whole distinguish the product from its competitors. A brand is an intangible asset made up of many elements. Together, these elements help consumers identify a product, which is you, and give them reason to buy it rather than its competitors. So in your case, what they're buying is you, your personality, your service, your knowledge, your expertise, your background, your network, and everything that realtors, escrow professionals, and everyone in the real estate industry bring to the table, which we know is very difficult, especially in San Diego, where competition's so hot, real estate is moving like crazy. I mean, it seems like ever since the pandemic happened, real estate has just gone nuts. Whether people are coming or going, I mean, real estate doesn't seem to suffer in San Diego, which is a great thing for all of you guys. And I'm happy to be here to support you guys on the back end. So I threw up a few examples of branding. Some of these are very obvious and we know them, but I wanted to just pull up a few to show how things kind of transition. Like here they have, this was actually the original Apple logo. And then through the years, they've kind of upgraded. I've never seen that first one before.
Okay.
And then you have some of these iconic ones like Hewlett Packard. We all know Starbucks, GE, Mercedes, Redfin, Remax, Sotheby's, Douglas Elliman.
Question, when you're thinking about branding yourself, like as an agent, like these are big companies, what, maybe at the end, we could kind of look at some successful realtor brand, like examples of real estate agents who have successfully branded themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I have that a little further down. Do you want me to jump into that part now, just to speed it up a little?
No, go ahead.
Oh, mine's orange.
Well, what I did was I gathered some info about the psychology behind the colors, right?
Mhm.
So there are different colors that have different meanings, and I found this all on the Wix blog, and I thought it'd be helpful to you guys. And
Hard to
if
miss.
you want to share this with the girls, I'd be happy to share the file, the original file, so you guys can read this whole thing through if you're interested in reading more. It just kind of defines branding and the different aspects of it and what to consider. If you have no branding yet, you know, you may want to consider your colors and what the colors actually mean. You don't have to hold that standard. It's not Bible. It's just, you know, from a marketing strategy, the colors are all used in different ways. Like red is fire, it's visceral, eye-catching, you know, that's kind of why McDonald's jumped on that color. It wanted to be really easily spotted and associated with their brand, which is the red and yellow. Orange is bright, warm, and welcoming. Yellow is friendly, approachable, cheerful, and uplifting. Green is most commonly used with eco-friendly brands or food industries. Like right now, my family and I just bought land out in Virginia and we're starting a farm. So of course, my father-in-law was all about blues and greens when it came to our farm logo, which is how we kind of landed on ours. And I'll share that with you guys after. Blue, strong, dependable. We see that a lot in real estate. And I think it's because the psychology behind blue is that blue is reliable, professional, trustworthy. They usually have them for financial institutions. Technological and medical logos are typically blue. It's also meant to be tranquil and serene. And it actually, they have studies that show what it does to your brain when you see certain colors. It's almost like those those certain music or tones that kind of hit you in a certain way, like the ones you listen to before bed. It's similar, just different when it comes to colors. So I'm just going to kind of go through because we have every color under the rainbow and all their meanings. So when it comes to getting your branding going, you want to choose your style carefully.
No.
What was that?
My question was to the girls was, does everybody have their own logo? Okay. And
You
I
guys
would
are all
say
kind of at that point now.
most of us don't, or some of us don't. I have had one, but I've made a transition. So yeah, okay.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, just kind of continuing on with the colors and what they mean. This box here kind of summarizes that with name brands we all know, you know, Snapchat, Beyond Meat, Wix, which is the website program I was mentioning, Lyft. You know, these colors are all meant to be easily identifiable and help you to recognize the brand the first time you see it. So colors and branding should do the following. It should be iconic, easily memorable, instantly recognizable. It creates an identity for you and your business. It communicates the values of you and your business. It helps build awareness, builds trust, and inspires your customers and clients. So what I did next was I just searched for a few different accounts on Instagram that I thought really nailed their branding, especially because of the repetitive colors. I'm a little weird when it comes to this because I like aesthetics. I'm very into design and colors, and I really love seeing this, especially on social media. It shows that there was a lot of conscious thought that went into the page and the maintenance, and they keep repeating those colors, and it basically becomes their trademark color. Like you can see here, List Reports has that iconic kind of Tiffany blue house that's kind of folded up. And you could see it throughout their page, and I added 2 screenshots of it. So you could see they also did the same thing with their story templates. So it just kind of repeats that same pattern and color throughout the page. So it's very easily identifiable. Their colors are teal, white, and then you see the deep gray or blue. And then, yeah.
And so when you're looking at doing colors, I wrote a question. First of all, I want everybody in here to write what colors you're drawn to, write down, because I want to share at the end. I think that'd be fun. And the second one is how many you suggest having in a brand?
I would say 2 to 3.
Okay.
I wouldn't go much further than that because then I think it kind of gets lost in translation, but I would stick with essential 2 to 3 colors if you're going to get into, you know, branding. And then being consistent with your colors. Most of the agents I work with now have 2 to 3. And black and white, I guess, are kind of lumped in there because it's just easy to read black and white. So they'll typically have 2 colors that they use, and then it'll either be black, white, or gray with those colors. Like you can kind of get a feel for that here with list reports. And then this agent I actually came across recently, she's a Utah agent, and she does black, white, gray, and then she throws gold in, and you could see that repeated here in her story highlights as well. So she's another one who kind of nailed it. And I like how large she made her text. Back in the day when I first started working on social media, I would try to put so much text in the image itself. And then eventually I started to realize it was very hard to read. And not only that, but people aren't going to spend that much time. And I remember hearing something in a meeting I was in once, and they said, if you're going to try to get any points across, make sure your bullet points are huge. Because people are really only going to read the cliff notes of what it is that you're trying to tell them. So you get about 2 seconds nowadays, because we've all gotten ADD over all the overstimulation in this world, and you really got to kind of make your point and make it fast. So that's why branding is so important these days. You want to have somebody see it and instantly know it's you.
So Jen, I
Same
noticed
with this agent here.
she's doing real covers on everything. So do you suggest that?
You can do reel covers, or you can find a spot in your reel that you want to, like when I work on reels for my agents, I'll either create a cover, or if there's an image in that reel that mimics their branding style, then I'll just use that photo. Reel covers are definitely a benefit because it's neat and organized. There have been times where I've done reels and it uploads before I choose my cover, and it gives you a chance to kind of see how it looks first. And if you don't like it, the nice thing is you can actually change your cover photo after the fact. So you can throw a professional photo up or something you've staged, or if there's a photo in that reel that looks good, what I do sometimes is I'll put text into the reel itself, and I make the text stay on for just a short period of time, and I make that part the reel cover. So for some agents, for some agents I work with, they'll do like caravans or a day out, and I'll just write whatever it is that they're doing or what's happening, and then you have it be just like a short little snippet, and you get your photo just like that. And that could also be made into a reel cover as well. You don't necessarily have to take the picture and fancy it up. It could be a simple process for you. So I like to see consistency and the same colors used throughout. And I thought these 3 accounts made it really nice and concise. So here's a few examples of my own. These are agents I work with, one of which, I don't know if any of you know her, but her name's Clara Strauss-Henkels, and she works with Willis Allen. She's an agent I've been working with for years. She specializes in North County. And this is kind of like her branding kit that I put on my website. We talk about her colors, her branding style. She wants to exude luxury real estate on the coast. Her colors are navy and orange. I didn't pick them. She picked them, which is kind of unorthodox for an agent. I don't know any agents that do blue and orange, but it actually works really well for her. And it's unique. I feel like most coastal agents go with your traditional coastal colors. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not as unique as seeing something like navy blue and orange. I thought that was kind of a cool color combination. So these are just a few pieces to show you guys of content I've created for her. Some of these are postcards. Some of these are images I've used on her social media. And that was the thing we wanted to really, the point we wanted to drive home is whenever you see navy or the bright orange, we wanted her to be easy to see and spot and identify that it's her and her brand. So anytime we work on her materials, it's always navy blue, white, and the bright orange. So it's very catching.
Question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, great. So when you were picking, or she's picking out these colors, was it more of the story you wanted to tell, or was it more like who she is? Like for me, I'm like, I know what colors I resonate with. Is that how you suggest picking out colors, or is it because she wanted to be coastal luxury?
I think it's a combination of both. I mean, you have to appeal to your your consumer base or your audience. So in a way, you want to do something that appeals to them, but you also want to do something that stands for who you are. I mean, I don't know that anyone is going to say, oh, I like that agent better because she used orange. I think it's just more eye-catching for her. And it's like I said, it's almost an unorthodox pairing. I've never seen anyone use bright orange ever. But it works for her. And we've been doing it for years. And I like how consistent it is in all of our marketing materials, all of her flyers, all of her postcards. We always stick with our color base. And I think it had to do with, you know, who she is as an agent. She isn't from this country. So she is a little unorthodox on her, you know, as far as her own personality goes. And it just kind of worked for her. But most agents, when they come to me, they look for help. Like this one agent in particular, Debbie Neff, a few of you probably know who she is. She's another coastal agent. I've been working with her since I started marketing, and she's your classic coastal agent, beach, coastal views. She loves the aerial shots of the coast. So we kind of continue that theme throughout all her marketing materials. A lot of black and white for Debbie because she's kind of like your black and white type of chick, you know, like everything is black and white, and she likes everything to be very neat and concise. And it just kind of goes with her personality. So for her, it was an easy one to create these pieces. And, you know, she sells these luxury homes, and having luxury homes in it makes it that much easier to market it because they're already beautiful on their own. It's much harder when you're dealing with a house that doesn't look like this. And you have to somehow doll it up to make it look like more than what it is. But agents somehow can pull that off. I like to call agents magicians because we can somehow make these things look so much more amazing than they sometimes are. And I think that's a real skill. And then this third one I wanted to show was a team called the Craig team. I worked with them years ago. And when we first started working together, they were all about this maroon color, which is what we kind of continued on with through all of our marketing materials, our flyers and postcards. This was a flyer we did that they handed out in their community. Again, kind of an unorthodox color. You never really see maroon. The only company I know that does that is Berkshire Hathaway. I think they do it, or at least they were doing it at a point. So it's not as common. And that's the thing. It's kind of hard to come up with something truly unique. There are a lot of colors in the spectrum, but in real estate, I think there are a lot of the same colors used. And I think A, it's because they work. B, it's kind of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And C, you want colors that kind of work well with what you're doing. So homes, you know, you typically see a lot of earth tones when you're selling real estate. If you see bright colors, it's usually a bad thing in real estate. You typically see the same kind of undertones mimicked in the marketing that the agents put out. So
What color?
what'd you say?
I like that color.
Me too.
What does this color make you guys think of?
Happy.
That's our brokerage color.
Yeah.
Does any business come to mind when you see this color?
Oh,
Tiffany's.
Exactly. I knew all the girls would get this. I showed this to my husband and he goes, blue, happy. I don't know. I said, it's Tiffany blue. So isn't it funny that a color on its own can indicate Tiffany because it's become such an iconic color. Everything is Tiffany blue, the box, the bag. So Tiffany's did a great job with their branding because you're able to identify Tiffany's just by looking at the color. And all the girls know that. Same with these. Does anyone here know where you see these kind of emblems?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I knew my girls would get it. My husband couldn't guess that one either. How about this brand, just at a glance? I'm sure most of you guys know this one.
Dropbox.
Dropbox, yep. And this one, can anyone recognize?
Ford.
Yep, you girls are good. You got your branding on dial.
Foxfire.
We
have that in
Box, yeah. Again, these are just icons. They don't have any words on them yet. We all know how to identify them, and that's what we call good branding. So when you guys are ready to start, you want to make it authentic. You want to be yourself, but you also want to let them know who are you outside of real estate. You want to give people a little bit of a sense of your personality, who you are, what makes you different. Another thing you want to do when you're getting into branding is educate others, teach them as you do. And something I tell a lot of the agents I work with is you don't have to have professional camera crew following you around all the time. Just showing people what it's like to live a day in the life as a realtor, not just as a realtor, but as a resident, a neighbor, a local, a specialist, a mother, a daughter, whoever you are. There's a lot of different things that go into being you. And all of those unique traits and characteristics that you have are what makes your brand you. And the last and final thing I always tell people is make sure you look good. And I'm not saying go get plastic surgery. I just mean always look good when you go out, because every time you step foot out the door, you know that if you don't have your makeup and your nails done, you're going to run into someone that you wanted to have your makeup and your nails done for. So I always say anytime you leave the house, make sure you look good, because almost anybody could be a client. And especially when you're in real estate, I'm sure you girls know better than anyone. You're always talking to people, always introducing yourself. Use every opportunity that you speak to a person to let them know who you are and what you do. I mean, some people will go out with their name badges on or the realtor pin, and those kind of things work. And you basically get a free pass to talk to anybody you want at any time because you're a realtor, and that's all technically considered networking and marketing. And the more people you get to talk to in a day, the better. And moving on, I just wanted to point out I would say the top 3 objectives when it comes to your branding and when that applies to social media is you want to either generate leads, nurture your leads, or convert your leads. So rolling into how you get into your branding kit, I wanted to show you guys kind of the thought process behind my own branding. When I started, I don't know why, I'm not even a pink kind of girl, but for some reason I was drawn to that powder pink, and powder pink and this teal color kind of became my colors. I had some images that I had a friend of mine took, Ollie Patterson. He still kind of works out there, I believe, but he took that picture of me in the middle and I loved it. And I was like, this is going to be all over my marketing material for a long time. And then I realized I don't look like that anymore, but whatever. Nobody really looks like their pictures in real estate anyway, so I guess it can go. Font styles I liked were pop-ins. I use pop-ins a lot. Brittany, I think, is a nice, easy to read script font. And then Bebas Nue, I don't know how to say that one, but those were the 3 fonts I gravitated to, and you'll see them on my website. And then this was kind of the thought process behind the J Marked brand. I started out trying to figure out, how do I incorporate the J with the marked? And I started playing around with all these different ideas, but this one on the bottom is kind of the one I use now if I make any sort of print marketing materials. But for the most part, I try to keep it simple, because when I tried to get J Marked originally, MARKED was taken. So I had to take the E out. So now whenever I spell it for people, I have to make sure they understand that there's no E in it. And that's something you don't want to do when it comes to branding. You don't want to make it too tricky for people to remember. I am constantly spelling it out and making sure they understand what I said, especially because I talk fast and I have my terrible New York accent. So I'm always making sure that I drive that point home. This was another branding kit for a client of mine. This lady was a CPA out in San Diego. She's a fabulous gal. She was very into like muted tones. And because she's a CPA, we didn't want to do anything too flashy. These were her images. And then her font style ended up being Cinzel and Barlow condensed. This was her logo here that she came to me with. And then we simplified it. And she ended up with these 3 for bookkeeping. Yeah, much cleaner. Not easy to identify when you see it. She's got really simple colors, and it was a fun site to work on. And now I kind of help her here and there. So there are 7 branding secrets that I wanted to talk about, and then I'll kind of sum everything up because I know we're kind of running short on time. But number 1 would be brand story. Humans want to connect with other humans, which is why referrals are so popular, especially in real estate. So you need to ask yourself, when you get into your branding, what's your story? And how do you want to tell it? And a famous story that people like to talk about is Steve Jobs and how he kind of started Apple in his garage with a friend of his. And now he's become this icon in the industry and just, has kind of gone down as one of the smartest men. And, people like that humble beginning. And if that's part of your story where, you know, you moved somewhere and you didn't have experience and then you just started taking off, these are the kind of stories people like to hear. Everybody likes hearing an underdog success story. And his was kind of like that. And that's, I think, why Apple became so successful, because he made it seem like an average person could succeed and have a fabulous company without having so much experience or that kind of background. So another question is, how will you tell your story, and will people connect with your story? Number two, brand look and feel. A lot of different things go into the brand, like we were talking about earlier. So you have your logo, your color palette, your fonts, sounds maybe that go with your brand. I know it's not as common in real estate, but you could totally have a sound. You know, for other industries, it could be smell and how it looks or how it feels, but animation styles. And then once your brand design is finished, it needs to be implemented everywhere. So if you're not set up on the internet yet, branding is really the first thing you want to do. And then as soon as you have your branding styles, you just got to blast that all over the place. Your brand voice, how do you come across? Are you stern? Are you inspiring? Are you emotional or empathetic? How does this resonate with your target audience? And keep in mind that you want it to be what they want to hear. Not necessarily what you think they need to hear, but what they want to hear, because that's how most people relate to brands. Your brand presence, your ecosystem, where do you show up? How do you show up? And that could include websites, social media, any channels you're on, your blog pages, your newsletters, your push marketing, which is what paid ads do when you're actually pushing your marketing out. And then your pull marketing, which is content where you put it and where you show up. And what is your messaging going to be? Now, I know in real estate, there's always something new and better coming out. And I hear from a lot of my agents that they just can't keep up, or they feel like they're out of place, or there's just too many things and they're trying to master all of them. I always tell my agents, master some, master the big ones, like Instagram and Facebook. We've all been using it forever since it started. Now there's TikTok and Twitter, and not that Twitter's even new anymore, but there's all these other programs and social media platforms kind of popping up now. And it'll make you feel kind of crazy to try to keep up with all these different things and be good at all of them, especially when they're all evolving so often. So I just tell them, master some. You don't have to be a master of all. I think as long as you're on the basic sites like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, I think those are kind of your core ones that you should probably be on. Everything else you can dive into if you like being on video and doing TikToks, that's totally fine. I think the program's great. It's really cool the way you can do it. But me personally, I don't use TikTok at all. I don't use TikTok for my clients either. I just think it's too much to try to maintain so many different things. And I don't want my clients feeling like they bit off more than they can chew. We want to take small bites when we eat the elephant. Number 5, brand promise. What is the value you're going to bring? What's an irresistible solution to their problem? How are you better than your competition? How are you different than your competition? This is kind of like your vow to your audience.
Because you don't want to put them down yet. You want to.
I was just saying that number 5 is something I am not doing at all, and I think that would be a really good one to start doing.
You do. Yes, you do.
Okay,
You
well,
do that.
that's okay. I'm hiring Jen to redo all my marketing.
Well, I'm happy to help because I love helping brands really pump up that.
Well, I
that
mean, you're
vow.
on my website, and as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking to myself, none of those colors actually represent me at all. And where did they come from? And I take like holistic, but I like the Tiffany blue. I like pink. I like yellow. I'm like energetic. I'm but I am also really holistic. How do you blend all of that? So as you're talking, I'm like, wait, Jen, stop. Don't do anything else on the website. You got to read the whole thing.
I love it. You know what? Sometimes it takes looking at other things to kind of dive into your own. And that's the fun thing about these kind of marketing meetings. You know, you'll hear like one tidbit out of all the things I'm saying today, and you go, she said that, and I need to do that, or I need to think about that. And it just kind of gets your brain working. So I love these kind of mastermind groups because you never know what part of it is going to really stick. And I think the more you kind of get into these things, the better off you are, because 10 heads are better than one, you know, having other people think along the same lines as you and putting them all in one space is really a great way to collaborate for success. I loved doing it when I lived in San Diego. You know, I would kind of head up some agent meetings when I worked at Windermere. And a lot of the times I could see the light bulb over people's heads as I was speaking. And I really liked that feeling like I'm bringing value to someone, even if it's something that I find so easy. The girl in the next chair might not. So it's great to collaborate.
Jen,
Yeah.
it's Glennis. So she is always been really great at capturing my personality because we've been friends. That she would take her camera and we would just go hang out maybe like downtown Encinitas. We'd have a cocktail and then we would just kind of run around the streets and she would take the camera, capture me, and then create great little text messages that I could send out to my clients. With my personality, she'd come up with some great captions for me. And this was great for me to follow up with all of my agents. Let's have tea together because she knows I love tea. And then it would be me sitting with a cup of tea. And then I would be like, hey, and I would text Elizabeth, let's have tea together next week or something. And so Jen was great doing that stuff for me as well. And just getting those snapshots in the communities like she was talking about earlier. She will be here in July, the end of July for race season. So if you guys do want to all connect with her, we can maybe all get together. Or
That would be so fun. Yeah, let's definitely plan something.
What, Jen? What, Jen?
That would be so fun. I would love
Okay.
to come in and meet you gals. And if you want to have a meeting or a class, we can do that too. I'll probably be in for at least 10 days. So I'll be in for a while, so we can definitely get some FaceTime.
She's creating a stirrup for the jockeys. So she'll be at the racetrack. So she'll be in town.
That's a whole nother bag of branding worms. My husband is an inventor and he's always giving me new things to brand, which is probably how I've become so good at it because he's had so many ideas since we met. And I'm constantly trying to help him market himself and his businesses. So he gives me a lot of practice.
Jen. And then she's also published 2 children's books. They're adorable. Yes, yeah. So cute. Yeah.
We're kind of like a jack of all trades family. We try a lot of different things and we find what works, you know, and there's no limits to what we can do. And, you know, we have a lot of people in our family and in our group that are like, oh, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. And I always look at them and say, who's to say what's too much in your life? You do as much as you think you can handle until you feel like you don't want to anymore. But we have a lot of coals in the fire. We like to do a lot of creative things. Dave did write 2 children's books. We had them, we self-published them, but we worked with a girl who helped us create our illustrations. And it was a really fun process. I knew nothing about illustrating. I knew nothing about writing stories. I mean, I was an English major, yes, but I had never thought my English degree was going to lead me to any of these things. I never thought I'd use it in real estate, and now I do. So you really never know where your background or your history is going to lead you. And that's kind of the fun thing about real estate is you guys are in the perfect industry where you get to meet so many different people and learn about their stories and their journeys, and you become a part of that. And that's such a huge piece of history for them. So it really is a pivotal role to be involved in the real estate transaction.
So Jen,
anyway,
we're going to start to be wrapping up here. But like, if somebody wants to hire you, like me, to go through the branding you kind of did for somebody, and I'm going to share this with everybody as well. So go there, like just book with you, because I think I personally would like a branding overhaul that I can just, because I think consistency too is something that I'm not super
absolutely. Yeah, you know, well, that's the tricky part in real estate. We have so many things going on at all times.
But like I'll do thing off of like an Etsy, and then I'll use their template, but it's not branded to me. It's cute, not consistent. Like I'm not changing the fonts into my brand kit. And once it's all living in Canva, it's really easy. But I have
I love Canva. Canva's my bread and butter right now. And what I've been doing with my clients is I create basically folders for my clients.
Yeah.
And I have some clients who they could either share the content themselves or I do the content for them, meaning social media, I post for them, I get on their account, I make sure that I'm engaging or at least engaging to some degree. But social media is really a two-way street. You can't just hire a person and say, make my social media good. You really have to be on it and be engaged and stay talking to your audience. And that was one thing I realized when I started using my Facebook for the stirrup line that we're working on. I started talking so much more on Facebook and Instagram than I ever thought I would, because I personally don't really like social media. I always thought it was too vanity inspired. Like everyone was putting up all these beautiful things. And it's like, well, what do you really like in real life? Like when you're not on some professional photo shoot, you know, I want to see the real you. But people really got into the amount of engagement. When people comment on my posts, I reply to every single one. And sometimes that's hundreds of comments, which is great. And I'm grateful that I get that much traction when I do a post. And even if you wait and respond to some on one day and some on another day, that brings your post right back up in their feed and it keeps that post live. So
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to share you, Tristan, feel free to send this presentation to all the girls in the group. I'd be happy to chat with anybody. I don't charge anybody for consultations, even if you're just looking for advice. I have tons of information I could share with you guys if you just want to know like basic steps on how to start, if you want to try doing it on your own, or if you want someone to just jump in and take over and take care of some things for you. I'm here and available to help you girls. Even if you just want to text me and ask some questions, I'm always available. I live on my phone, especially now, stirrup line. So I'm putting my phone number on here too. So if anybody wants to talk to me, feel free.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
Oh, you guys are
she's
so
very-
welcome. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
Jen, real quick.
Yes.
You do a lot of like just listing, just sold templates for my agents. Will you kind of go over your pricing? Like, you know, if they don't have time, they just want you to do a just listed PDF so that I can print it or a postcard.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The
Well,
presentation.
once a template is made, or if they want to work off an existing template and just swap out photos, I'm usually anywhere between 45 and 65, depending on how complex. Like if there's a lot of changes that need to be made, it usually falls into 65. If it's a basic template and we're just swapping information, it's usually 45. But I'd be happy to work with you guys on your pricing too. I mean, times are tough right now and everything's so expensive. So I'm just happy to meet new clients and take on new work. So if anybody has budgetary restrictions or you working within a budget, you just say, hey, Jen, I can only afford to do this much per month, but this is what I need. We can work it out. I'm happy to help. I know a lot of girls in that room and I've known them for years and I love them dearly. So I'm always happy to extend my family and friends pricing to the rest of you. So reach out if you want the help and I'll give you special pricing, especially since Tristan's bringing me on. I can create special packages for you guys since you guys are all kind of like extended family now.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. It was so nice.
Girls, you guys have a great week. Mwah. It was so great to see some of your familiar faces.
Bye.
You're welcome.
Okay, guys, I hope that was